All right, hey everyone, welcome back. Ready for another deep dive? Today we're tackling this book called The Journey to Manhood. It's by Sabat Bito.
Yeah.
It's all about, well, like the title says, navigating that transition from teenager to adult.
Mm-hmm.
And Bito has broken it down into 6 parts,
Okay.
each one kind of like a stage in that journey, you know.
Sense.
We've got personal growth, responsibility, purpose, continuous improvement, then some special topics, and even some real-life stories from guys who've been there.
Sounds pretty comprehensive.
It is. It
Yeah.
really gets into like the nitty-gritty, you know.
Yeah.
And to help us, well, to help me unpack all of this, I've got an expert with us today.
Hey, glad to be here. Excited to dive into this with you.
Yeah, me too. This book, it's really about more than just hitting those typical milestones, you know.
Right.
Like, it's not just about getting a job or moving out.
It's deeper than that.
Yeah, exactly. It's about like developing the mindset and skills you need to actually thrive as an adult.
Absolutely, yeah. It's about becoming the best version of yourself, figuring out who you are and what you want out of life.
Totally. And that's where part 1 comes in.
Okay.
It's all about personal growth. And Beto jumps right into it with chapter 2, which is all about self-awareness.
Self-awareness, that's a big one. It's something that a lot of people, I think, struggle with.
Definitely. And this chapter, it's about figuring out like your core values.
Mm-hmm.
What are those things that are really important to you?
Right.
And also what you're good at, your strengths. And then where you want to go, your goals.
Yeah, and that might sound like pretty basic stuff at first glance,
Yeah.
but it's really like the foundation for everything else.
It is. It's like, if you think about it, your values, they kind of act like a compass.
Right, they guide your decisions.
Exactly. Like they help you figure out like what's right and wrong for you.
Yeah, so you're not just drifting through life without any direction.
Exactly. And then your strengths, those are like what you bring to the table.
They're your superpowers, the things that you naturally excel at.
Yeah, and the things that can help you succeed, whether it's in your career or your relationships or whatever you set your mind to.
Totally. And then your goals, those are like the destinations you're aiming for.
Mm-hmm.
They give you something to work towards and something to keep you motivated.
And speaking of aiming for something, chapter 3 has this really cool concept of the world being an everlasting classroom.
I love that. It's so true, isn't it? Learning doesn't stop when you graduate from high school or college. It's a lifelong journey.
Exactly. Beatu, he's all about lifelong learning, even outside of, you know, like a formal school setting.
Right. And with technology changing so rapidly these days, it's more important than ever to keep learning and adapting.
Yeah. I mean, think about it. The skills you need for your future career, they might not even exist yet.
That's a good point. We're constantly having to learn new things and upgrade our skills.
And this book, it encourages you to be curious
Yeah, to keep asking questions and seeking out knowledge.
and to find mentors who can guide you.
Mm-hmm. Mentors are invaluable. They can share their experiences and insights and help you avoid common pitfalls.
And probably the most important thing, to embrace what's called a growth mindset.
A growth mindset, that's all about seeing challenges as opportunities to learn and get better.
It's like, instead of getting discouraged when you hit a roadblock, you see it as a chance to level up.
Exactly. You embrace the challenge, you learn from your mistakes, and you come out stronger on the other side.
So it's not just about what you know. It's about how you approach learning and growing throughout your life.
Absolutely. A growth mindset is essential for navigating the complexities of adulthood.
It's like, it's the key to unlocking your full potential.
It really is. And you know, it's something that you can develop and cultivate over time.
So even if you're not there yet, don't worry, you can get there.
Exactly. It's a journey, not a destination.
And speaking of journeys, let's move on to part 2, which is all about responsibility to others.
Okay, responsibility. That's another big one. What does that look like in this context?
Well, chapter 7 focuses on respect, empathy, and kindness.
Oh, those are some powerful qualities, especially when it comes to building strong relationships.
Yeah, it's all about building relationships that are based on those principles, not just romantic relationships either.
Right. It's about how you interact with everyone in your life, your family, your friends, your colleagues, even strangers you meet on the street.
It's like, it's about creating this network of people who you can rely on and who can rely on you.
Yeah, your tribe, your support system.
And it's about creating a more positive and supportive world for everyone.
Absolutely. When we treat each other with respect, empathy, and kindness, we create a ripple effect that spreads outwards.
I love that image of a ripple effect. It's like, it's about recognizing that we're all connected and that our actions have an impact on others.
Exactly. And Beato, he doesn't stop there. In chapter 9, he takes it a step further and talks about active citizenship.
Oh yeah, active citizenship. What's that all about?
It's about taking ownership of your community and contributing to something bigger than yourself.
So it's not just about being a good person on an individual level.
Right. It's about recognizing that we have a responsibility to the society we live in.
So what are some examples of active citizenship?
Well, it could be anything from volunteering at a local charity to voting in elections to speaking out against injustice.
Or even just being a good neighbor?
Absolutely. It's about being engaged and involved in making your community a better place.
Okay, so we've got respect, empathy, kindness, and active citizenship. That's a pretty solid foundation for, like, being a responsible adult, right?
It is. And Beato, he ties it all together in chapter 10 when he talks about understanding your environmental footprint.
Ah, the environmental footprint. That's a hot topic these days.
It is, and it's something that's particularly relevant to young people who are inheriting a planet facing some serious challenges.
Like climate change and pollution.
Exactly. And this chapter, it's about being mindful of the choices you make and how they impact the planet.
So it's about more than just recycling.
Yeah, it's about everything from the food you eat to the clothes you wear to the way you travel.
It's about reducing waste, conserving energy, and supporting sustainable practices.
Exactly. And the cool thing is that even small actions can make a big difference when we all do them together.
Yeah, it's like every little bit counts.
It does. It's about taking responsibility for our impact on the planet and working together to create a more sustainable future.
Okay, so we've talked about personal growth and we've talked about responsibility to others.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's get to the really exciting part, building a purposeful life.
Okay, now we're talking. This is where it gets really interesting. Purpose, that's what we all crave, right? That sense of meaning and direction in our lives.
Exactly. And that's what part 3 of the book is all about.
Awesome. So where do we start?
Well, chapter 12 dives deep into finding your passion.
Finding your passion. That's something that I think a lot of young people struggle with. It can feel like this big, elusive thing.
Yeah, it can be. But this chapter, it's like a roadmap for figuring out what truly excites you, what gets you fired up and motivated.
Okay, so it's not just about, like, finding a job that pays the bills.
Right. It's about finding something that you're truly passionate about, something that gives you a sense of purpose and fulfillment.
And how do you do that? I mean, where do you even start?
Well, the chapter talks about self-exploration.
Self-exploration. Okay, so like taking some time to really reflect on your values, your interests, your skills.
Exactly. It's about figuring out what makes you tick, what makes you feel alive, and then it's about identifying your core values.
Right, because your values will guide you towards work that feels meaningful and aligned with who you are.
Exactly. And it's also about figuring out what you're good at, what you enjoy doing, what comes naturally to you.
Your strengths, yeah. Because when you're doing something you're good at, you're more likely to enjoy it and be successful at it.
Totally. And then it's about exploring different options, like maybe trying out different hobbies, volunteering in different fields, talking to people who are doing work that you find interesting.
Yeah, that's a great way to get a feel for different careers and see what resonates with you.
And once you've kind of like narrowed down what you're passionate about, the next step is to turn it into something tangible.
Right. Passion without action is just a daydream. You've got to take that passion and turn it into something real.
Exactly. And that's where chapter 13 comes in, goal setting.
Goal setting. Okay, that sounds practical. So how does Beto approach this?
Well, he breaks down the SMART goal framework, which is super helpful.
SMART goals. I've heard of that. But remind me, what does that stand for?
So a SMART goal is specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound.
Okay, that makes sense. So instead of just saying, I want to be successful, you'd say, I want to launch my own business selling handmade jewelry within the next year.
Exactly. It's about setting goals that are clear and concrete, so you can actually track your progress and see yourself moving towards something.
And that time-bound part is important too, right? It gives you a deadline to work towards.
Definitely. It helps you stay focused and motivated.
So it sounds like Beato is really giving you the tools to build a life you love, a life that's both meaningful and fulfilling.
He is. And this is just the beginning. We still have a lot more to cover.
Yeah, it's like laying the groundwork for a really solid, fulfilling life.
Totally. And it doesn't stop there. Part 4 is all about continuous improvement.
Continuous improvement. Okay, I like that. It's like always striving to be better, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it made me think of all those, those inspirational quotes you see online, like, it's about the journey, not the destination.
Yeah. Those are everywhere. But how do we actually, put that into practice?
Well, Chapter 17 gives us a good place to start. Embracing feedback.
Oh, feedback. That can be tough sometimes, can it? Especially when it's not, positive.
It can be. Think about a time you got some criticism, maybe from a coach or a teacher.
Oh, yeah, plenty of those. I remember this one time, my music teacher, she was brutal.
But did it help you get better?
Yeah, looking back, I guess it did. Pushed me to practice harder, for sure.
That's the thing about feedback, even if it's hard to hear.
Yeah, it can be valuable, I guess.
This chapter, it encourages us to see criticism as a chance to grow.
Hmm, chance to grow. Okay, I can see that.
It gives tips on how to, get over that fear of criticism.
Because let's be real, no one likes to be criticized.
No, not really. But it's about learning to really listen to what people are saying and then taking action to, actually improve.
It's like having a coach for your life, isn't it? Someone to point out your blind spots and help you get better.
And then Chapter 18 builds on this whole improvement thing with adaptability and resilience.
Adaptability and resilience. Okay, those are definitely important in today's world. Things change so fast.
They do. And this chapter, it's all about developing the skills to handle that uncertainty, to learn from your experiences and adjust your approach as needed.
Makes sense. So, not being afraid to change course if things aren't working out.
Yeah. And being able to bounce back from those setbacks.
Because let's be real, there are going to be setbacks. Life throws
It
curveballs.
does. And this chapter talks about strategies for managing stress
Oh, stress management. Now, that's something I could definitely use some help with.
and learning from those setbacks, not letting them get you down,
Right, turning those failures into learning experiences.
and being flexible in your thinking. Not getting stuck in one way of doing things.
Yeah, being open to new ideas and new approaches.
So it's not just about learning new skills, it's about developing a mindset that embraces change.
A mindset that sees challenges as opportunities for growth.
And this next part, it's something you'll definitely relate to. Part 5 gets into special topics and case studies.
Oh, case studies. I love those. It's always interesting to see how other people have navigated these challenges.
It is. And it starts with a chapter dedicated to navigating the digital world.
Ah, the digital world. That's a whole other beast, isn't it? I mean, it's such a huge part of our lives these days.
It is. And chapter 22, it dives right into it.
So what kind of things does it cover?
Well, it gives practical advice on how to, manage that whole online landscape.
Like social media and all that?
Yeah. It talks about crafting a positive online image.
Because that's important, right? What you put out there online can really impact your life.
It can. And understanding digital etiquette, how to interact with people online in a respectful way.
Yeah, because sometimes people forget their manners when they're behind a screen.
And it even gets into using digital tools to help you grow, both personally and professionally.
Oh, wow, so it's not all bad.
Definitely not. It's about using those tools responsibly and effectively.
Makes sense. It's about being a good digital citizen.
Exactly. And speaking of careers, the book has a whole chapter on career planning.
Career planning. Oh, man, that's something I'm starting to think about more and more these days. It's a little daunting, to be honest.
It can be, but chapter 23 breaks it down into manageable steps.
Okay, that's reassuring. So what are some of those steps?
Well, first, it's about figuring out what you're passionate about.
Right, going back to that idea of finding your purpose.
Exactly.
Hmm.
And then it's about identifying your skills and values.
Your strengths and what's important to you.
And then the chapter guides you through researching different career paths.
So you can see what's out there and what might be a good fit.
And it covers the practical stuff too, like setting career goals, building a professional network.
Networking, that's so important, isn't it? Building connections and relationships with people in your field.
It is. And of course, writing a killer resume and acing those job interviews.
Yeah, those can be nerve-wracking.
But this chapter, it's like having a personalized career counselor in a book.
It sounds like a really valuable resource, whether you're just starting to explore your options or thinking about making a career change down the road.
And I'm really glad Beto addresses something that's often overlooked, especially for young men: mental health.
Yeah, mental health, that's so important, and it's something that we need to talk about more openly.
Chapter 24 tackles mental health awareness head-on.
That's great. So what kind of things does he cover in this chapter?
Well, he starts by talking about recognizing the signs and symptoms of mental health issues.
Like anxiety and depression. Those are really common these days, especially among young people.
They are. And it's important to know what to look for in yourself and in others.
Definitely. So you can get help if you need it. Because it's not a sign of weakness to ask for help, right?
Absolutely not. It's a sign of strength. And Bio emphasizes that in this chapter. He talks about overcoming the fear of seeking help and building a support system.
Yeah, having people you can talk to, people who care about you and want to support you, that's so important.
And he talks about practical self-care strategies too. Things like exercise, mindfulness, getting enough sleep.
Yeah, those are all important for maintaining good mental well-being.
And then he really broadens the scope in chapter 29. It's like he takes us on this global journey, exploring how manhood is viewed and celebrated in different cultures around the world.
Wow, that sounds fascinating. So, like, different cultures have different ideas of what it means to be a man.
Exactly. And this chapter, it dives into those different perspectives.
What kind of things does he talk about?
Well, traditional rites of passage, cultural expectations for men's roles and responsibilities, and how modern influences are shaping those views.
It's like each culture has its own unique way of defining manhood.
And what's cool is that he includes personal stories from men all over the world, sharing their experiences and reflections on what it means to be a man in their cultures.
That's awesome. It's like getting a glimpse into different worlds.
It is. And it really highlights the importance of respecting and appreciating those differences while recognizing the universal themes that connect us all.
So it's like we're all on this journey of manhood, but our paths might look different depending on where we come from and what our experiences have been.
Exactly. It's about celebrating that diversity and learning from each other. So we've covered personal growth, responsibility, purpose, continuous improvement, the digital world, career planning, mental health, and global perspectives. What a ride.
Yeah, it's been quite the journey so far.
It has. But like any good journey, it's got to have like a solid wrap up, right?
Oh, of course, yeah. Good ending. A place to tie everything together.
And that's where Beto brings us to chapter 30, the last one.
Okay, the grand finale.
It's called Conclusion and Future Outlook, Preparing for the Journey Ahead.
Preparing for the journey ahead. Sounds like some final words of wisdom.
It is. It's like Beto is giving us this one last pep talk before, sending us off into the world.
Yeah, like a graduation speech.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what's the main message here? What does he want us to remember as we move forward?
Well, one big thing is that, growth is a continuous process.
It's not like you hit adulthood and then you're done.
No, not at all. It's about constantly evolving, learning, adapting to all the new experiences life throws at you.
It's like that saying, life is a journey, not a destination. It's a cliche, but it's so true.
It really is. And this chapter, it emphasizes how important it is to face those challenges with resilience.
Not letting the tough times break you.
Yeah, using those setbacks as opportunities to actually grow stronger and maintaining a positive outlook even when things are tough.
It's like embracing the ups and downs, seeing the challenges as part of the adventure.
That's a great way to put it. Yeah, it's all about the adventure. And, no good pep talk would be complete without some goal setting.
Right, not just saying, go out there and be great, but giving you some tools to make it happen.
Exactly. He encourages us to set goals that are, meaningful, achievable.
Not just for your career either.
Right, for all areas of life. Relationships, personal growth, well-being, the whole package.
So it's like, don't just dream it, plan it.
Haha. Yeah, I like that. And something that really stood out to me in this last chapter was the emphasis on relationships.
Yeah, having those strong connections can make all the difference.
They really can, especially when you're facing those adulting challenges. Having people you can rely on, people who support you.
Like your own personal cheer squad.
Yeah, exactly. Beato recognizes that healthy relationships are the foundation for a fulfilling life.
And he encourages us to put in the effort to nurture those connections with family, friends, partners.
It's about investing in those relationships, making time for the people who matter most.
And lastly, he reminds us that change is inevitable.
Yeah, the one thing you can always count on is that things will change.
In this chapter, it's all about learning to embrace that change and uncertainty.
Just be flexible, adaptable.
To ride the waves,
Exactly. So while this book, it gives us this really comprehensive guide to manhood, it also empowers us to create our own definition,
Our own path.
one that aligns with our values, our aspirations.
It's like he gives us the map and compass, but we get to choose the direction.
I love that analogy. That's a great way to sum it up.
We've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive, haven't we?
We have, from personal growth to responsibility, purpose, mental health, even global perspectives. It's been amazing.
I feel like we've really explored every facet of this whole journey to manhood.
Yeah.
And what I think makes this book so powerful is It doesn't give us a one-size-fits-all formula.
No magic solutions.
It gives us the tools and the knowledge to create our own unique path.
Our own version of manhood.
And I hope this deep dive has given you some insights and inspiration as you start your own journey.
Me too. It's
Yeah.
been a real pleasure exploring this with you.
So as we wrap things up here, I wanted to leave you with a question. What are some of the unique challenges and opportunities you think you'll face as you enter adulthood? And how can what we talked about today help you navigate them? Take some time to reflect on that. Let this be the springboard for your own incredible journey. Thanks for joining us.